Hello again everybody, I hope you are doing well, and today we have quite an interesting video. What we are going to be doing is looking at a bunch of Borussia Dortmund home shirts. So they've released a competition that is currently ongoing, whereby they've allowed fans from across the world to submit designs and ideas for their home shirt to be used in the 23-24 season, so not next season, but the season afterwards. And they've gone past the first stage where people have been able to submit the ideas, and I believe they said they had about 15,000 designs submitted from over 100 different countries, and they've whittled it down to their favourite 9. So they've had obviously input through Puma, and also I think Marco Reus is helping making the final decisions. And I thought, well, let's have a look at what the initial submissions were, and then they've also mocked them up what they'll look like if they ever get selected. And they also have a little biography by the designer themselves explaining the reason behind why the shirt looks like it does. So it's a combination of a few videos that I've been doing. We've got concept stuff here, we've got future shirts, bits and bats, so I think it might be quite interesting. And I actually personally don't own a Borussia Dortmund shirt in my collection. So I have this one, which I am of course wearing, but I was gifted this and I'm not 100% certain if it's genuine or not, so I don't include it in any of my sort of collection on my website. It has a Aubameyang on the back, so I just sort of wear it casually when I feel like wearing a Borussia Dortmund shirt. So it's possible that one of these shirts that gets released here, if it's the one that I particularly like, might end up being in my collection. So let's have a run through of the 9 shirts that are potentially going to win. If at the end of this you feel like you want to submit your votes for them, you can just log on to the Borussia Dortmund website, you pick your favourite 3, and then I presume at some point they're either going to break it down to 3 and then decide again, or something, they'll just choose the one that is the most popular. I don't know, the next stage. So let's see what's going on. So let's have a look. So the first one is from a gentleman called Timo R from Mal, and he says 100% identification. It should be a real home shirt. What makes a BVB home game special? The fans, the yellow wall, and the stadium. 0% changeability. Stripes and patterns are nice, but if you change colours and the logo, leave out the stars, you know what I mean. Honestly, mate, I don't know what you mean, but with regards to the shirt, I think this actually looks pretty decent. So you've got this sort of, obviously yellow and black, cut up with, is that meant to be some sort of part of the stadium there? I'm not quite sure what that graphic actually represents, but I do like how it looks. The only thing I'm going to say with this lot of shirts is that the sponsor ruins all of them. Like, it's just a terrible sponsor. The giant block, it just ruins it all. So no matter how good some of them could be, they're never going to be perfect because of that sponsor. So I think that one's a decent first go. So the next one is Andre K from Appen, and he says, for me it was clear that it could be the classic BV colours, with the design which is reminiscent of a coal line. I immortalised the heart of the Ruhr region on the jersey. In keeping with the motto, there is no future without origins, the dynamic course of the drawing is intended to underline the modern side of the club. At the very least, he's mastered the art of marketing, I guess, because there's a lot of buzzwords there. And looking at the shirt, I can see the coal influence. There's going to be a lot of coal-themed influence for these shirts because it's a region where coal is sort of the predominant export, I'd say you would say, industry. And this one, looking at it, it looks okay. Like, it's an interesting design, I guess, but I feel like there's possibly too much black on it. I don't know. I feel like there surely must have been something better in the 18,000 suggestions than this one, but for me, this is not what I would go with. Next one, we have Eric K from Solothurn. The city border around the crest breaks through the Dortmund yellow proudly worn by our players and brings out the tradition of the Ruhr area with the coal black underneath. A tradition deeply rooted within the city, its region and the New Jersey, which shows where BVB is based. BVB, a club that stands for its diversity and the passion of its people. I think most clubs would say that they follow those same values. Also, this shirt is actually really cool. I do like the idea that they have the sort of the outline, the area, city limits of the Ruhr around the crest. I think that's a quite a very nice, interesting addition. And then the actual design is interesting because it almost looks like it's one of those, you know, you break a screen, like a computer screen, TV screen, and it's like the pixels and the cracks. Kind of looks like that's what the influence there. So for this, I just like to see what it looked like in person. So if this one would win, I think it would just be interesting to see how they would do it. Next, we have Jamie CD from Mexico City, so all over the world. The design is based on the city map of Dortmund, which appears on the upper part of the jersey, accompanied by classic diagonal stripes that represent the forward movement, the decision to confront the opponent's goal, and the real will to win, which is so characteristic of this club, and again every other club. This one is really nice. So I love shirts that have sort of topological, graphical, geographical maps on them somewhere. Dortmund fans will not like me for saying this, but it reminds me of Schalke. They released a shirt recently which had, again, the area of Schalke Gelsenkirchen sort of around the stadium there. And I think it just looks really good. I've got quite a few shirts myself that have them, and it's just a standout feature. Plus, when I'm doing my reviews, I can learn a little bit about the geography of the area. I also like the fact that it goes from sort of yellow then into the black at the bottom. That's a very nice way of going, and especially when accompanied with those shorts. So yeah, this is a great little design there. Patrick P. from Menden. The jersey design is the statement piece for the players on the pitch, and the fans also want to wear this jersey with pride. The design is therefore timeless and modern. The vertical stripes with different thickness look very dynamic and down to earth. The indicator logo with reduced opacity in the right corner livens everything up a bit. So it's got one of those shirts where you've got like the logo which is sort of hidden away slightly in the corner, which I do like that approach on a lot of jerseys, and I think this one looks really good. But for me, I've never been a huge fan of the sort of half done vertical stripes. I think it should be all or nothing, but I certainly don't think it should be all on this Borussia Dortmund shirt, especially if you're going really thin. I think that's very specific to certain clubs. So I'm not going to say that this one is my favourite, mainly because it's very difficult to have the stripes run through the sponsors and logos. Next we have Moritz R. from Sonningen. He says, 80,000 fans, 130 decibels, one battle cry, one jersey. The soundtrack Auf geht's Dortmund kämpfen und zeigen connects us with fans with the team. The energy from the stands, the pumping sounds, the atmosphere in the most beautiful stadium in the world are not only transmitted acoustically to the team, but are also visually expressed in this jersey. And I think that's well put together, to be honest. It's well said. They've gone for a sort of more 90s style neon colour set, which for me, I know obviously those jerseys are very popular. I still associate Dortmund with just the traditional yellow, because when I was getting into football, they were more yellow than the 90s. That was just before my time. But I like the fact that they do have the sort of the decibels, the sound waves, sort of along the front there. But I think it's just a little bit too bit crazy. I think there might have been a better way to subtly do it. So for me, this is not one that I would be voting for. We have Philip Z from Dortmund. You never know when you're going to go if you don't know where you come from. The jerseys that express the connection to the city. Borussia Dortmund has become a world-famous and popular soccer club, but the heart beats here. Everything that defines a club is here in the region. Everything comes together at the birthplace of Borussia Dortmund, the Borsigplatz. With our founding place on the jersey, we would have confidence, and no matter whether in the stands or on the pitch, the beating of the chest after the opening goal would have even more meaning. What I'm thinking is this guy's saying, I live in Dortmund, so I should win this. It shouldn't be some guy who lives in, Finland or something. But to be honest, to be fair to him, the jersey design is quite nice. I like the fact that it has the sort of the spires coming out from the logo. That's very nice. The only thing is this, I probably have the sponsor a little bit further down so it doesn't intersect with what's going on there. But it's nice. It's decent. It's not too extreme, but it's passable. We have Patrick A. from Dortmund. Anchored in the city and its history, the jersey combines the coat of arms, the colours, and a significant part of Dortmund's history, coal. So this is one of the designs that clearly has had a revision between the original submission and the implementation. And they said that they spoke with the people who designed them, because there are certain things that they can and cannot do on jerseys, and then spoke with Puma as well, certain regulations. But I don't quite understand why they wouldn't be allowed to have that sort of black running down the shoulder, and they've had to swap it for just a black block and then the yellow. Because honestly, I think the original submission looks better, especially with the crest in the centre there, which is just totally being removed. Still, it's decent, it's nice, it's not too bad, but I prefer the original submission. And then we have finally Tim VW from Marburg. My jersey design was inspired by our cup jersey from the 1920 season, as well as the last special jerseys. It was important for me to create a connection to Borussia Dortmund and the city with the colour scheme and pattern. This is why I chose the legendary neon yellow from the 90s era, as well as the print of the Dortmund skyline and city map as motif on the jersey. So it's another one of the jerseys that I've gone for the sort of the map approach, which I definitely don't disagree with the styling. But it's also another one of those jerseys that's totally changed from the original submission to the implementation, because it's gone from being black and then sort of neon to now being neon all the way to the top and just having black sort of sleeves. I think I probably, I don't know. I think the implementation looks better because you've got more detailing of the skyline at the top as well as the geography at the bottom. But I also like the fact that the original one had the separated colours, which I think works quite nicely. But for me, if it was in yellow, I think it probably would look much better, not the sort of neon approach. But those are it. Those are all of the designs. I must admit, when I looked through them and I saw them, I thought, surely after 18,000 submissions, these are the only 9 that they've gone for. Like, some of them are okay, but some of them are not that exciting. I mean, when you think about, of course, the success of the Atletico Mineiro shirt, the Mantle Massa shirt, which I think we would all agree is at the very least good, but most people think it's a beautiful design, and obviously there was such a massive demand for it all over the world. If not get that guy to design your shirt, then surely there must be a Borussia Dortmund fan out there that can do something similar. And then, of course, you had the Pescara shirt, which was released, you know, one with the dolphin and the rainbow, the sort of the COVID style when it was that part of the year, and that one obviously was very popular, and I think it's had a different approach. Whereas some of them look just sort of kind of almost like a standard Puma shirt that you would kind of expect. I would hope something a little bit more. But for me, if I had to vote for the 3 that I would go for, I would say that the 4th one, the one from Mexico City, was my favourite. I think that's really nice. I'd be curious to see what it looks like in person. The 3rd one also is very good, mainly because it's just an interesting design, and plus I love what they did with the crest. And then my 3rd choice, because you have to pick 3, possibly number 8, the one Patrick's from Dortmund, which is slightly changed but still looks pretty decent. The way that they put the sponsor in kind of works well. But yeah, those are what I'd go for. I think there's not any there that would make me go, oh my god, I have to get this shirt. But it's always nice when the fans get to sort of have their own say with regards to the club that they support. Let me know what shirts that you think are the best, or maybe none of them. If you're a Borussia Dortmund fan, then did you submit one? And maybe if you've got them, send them my way, and we could sort of have a look and compare and contrast. If you are interested in actually making a submission for your voting, just go to the Borussia Dortmund website. I think you'll probably have to create an account, submit your final 3, and then who knows, maybe one day our favourite shirts will be appearing in sports shops across the world. Anyway, I thought that would just be an interesting video to see. I think the closing date is something like 18th of March, so there is a little bit of time. I think I will have this video released by then. But anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye.